This is a recording on YouTube called STS-124 external tank handheld video. So if we enlarge this, we'll see that at roughly, we'll just play it now, an object starts to come in view at 1 minute 55. Now it's actually lower than the fuel tank, and it seems to be floating there in its own orbit. I've read previous comment is just ice coming from the fuel tank, but it's a lot lower, and ice wouldn't be just in one piece, and it wouldn't be that sort of shape. So this object obviously looks tubular, a nodular. There's an object coming up and down there, and it is lower than the fuel tank in its own orbit. So if it was ice, it wouldn't be a lower now, because the fuel tank's obviously heavier. If it's I read somewhere that these objects are parachutes which are released, but the parachute would be still in the fuel tank. That doesn't make sense either. So let's just, there it is there. So it's just turned around there. Very interesting object. Let's go back now again when it comes into view. And there was one other one that just appeared there. So it looks like there was more than one floating around, but there's no proof of the other one. You'll just see it coming on the left side of the screen. So the first one appeared just there. So obviously there was more than one. So take it just to that 1 minute 52. There it is there. So just see a part of that. Obviously you see it right there. It's above the clouds. It's white, nodular, square shape. And then the other one appears now. There it is. And it just seems to be floating there in its own orbit. There it turns. So it's just turning on its own accord. There it is there, and there it is there. At this stage, at 4 minutes 28, we see these orbs coming and flying across it, and 2 or 3 seem to latch on and follow it. Now, I've filmed these orbs on Earth, and there are some special people like Laszlo Novak that use an infrared filter to actually film these flying through clouds and out of tubes in clouds. What they are, I don't know, but we see some here now. There it is there. There's one there. One more. One more there. They're rounded spheres, and you can have 4 or 5 actually in a group floating between clouds. But now you'll see 2 or 3 appear. There's one there that appeared close to space shuttle fuel tank there. It's right there next to it. And there's one more. And there's a third one there. So there's 2 now that are actually following that fuel tank. What they are, I don't know. There's one more floating there. So they haven't noticed something peculiar floating, and they've come closer to have a look at it. There's one more floating past there. And those 2 just latch on right there. There's 2 more there. So there's a whole huge amount. Two more there. Now one more has just appeared and latched on there.